and gentlemen.
Welcome to the show. It is Thursday, the 21st of May, 2026. We got a great show planned for you tonight, 7 p.m. Let's get this thing going. Want to thank everybody for watching the show, always checking in. We love the comments that are coming in lately from our physicist that was on last week. Lots of good stuff going on there. Appreciate that. Be sure if you're watching right now on YouTube, like, subscribe, follow, and share this with another veteran. It's fun to come and have a place, have a tribe. But tonight, special night, because we're going to be having. Sorry about that. We're going to be having AJ Merrifield on here, and we're actually going to roast C.I.A. Bob, so it's going to be fun as hell. I want to give a big shout out to our guest from last week, Chris Rivers, who, like I said, he's stirred up the YouTube and the Facebook with his reels about nuclear war and destruction of the earth. There's a lot of survivalists out there that think they can survive a nuclear bomb, but we'll see. Hopefully we don't have to, but big shout out to Rich LaMonica. You can catch him on episode 34 in our back catalog. Our back catalog is available wherever you get your podcast. I usually watch it on Spotify. Pretty cool. Check out Rich LaMonica. He is the host of the Misfit Nation podcast. Big shout out to SameFlagSameOath.com. Matt Johnson and Becky Johnson. They're actually traveling tonight on their way to do some great stuff with art. But shout out to Got Your Six, Same Flag, Same Oath, and Becky Joe Art. Doing wonderful stuff. I don't know if you saw, but we put a little bit of a old school professional wrestling promo out for Glenn and Hunter Moore, as they're going to be competing in the Military City, USA on the 30th of May here, this next Saturday at the Woodlawn Theater. So Military USA, Hunter is going to be competing with his dad. So both former guests of the show will definitely be watching that. More to follow. A big shout out to what Project Zero is doing. As you can see, now they've got offshore fishing available. They've got surf fishing available. They got all kinds of cool swag. And then, better yet, they actually have all that traditional therapy. So as they say, get out there, go to projectzero.com and check out what they got going on. There's going to be a crawfish. Well, first, there's going to be an evening of laughter tomorrow night at VFW Post 8790. That's right there at 1560 Veterans Foreign Wars Way. And Spring Branch VFW 8790. And on Saturday, they're going to be doing a crawfish boil. Always good stuff going on there. RJ Rulis is a friend of the show. We've actually had a live from there, and he's going to be a future guest. So we're looking forward to that. If you like laughing and you like crawfish, check out VFW Post 8790. An open house. Dr. LaShondra texted me this. So the City of Houston Office of Veterans Military Affairs is going to be having an open house 4 to 6 p.m. on June 2nd. If there's ever a time that you want to have connection with local veterans, learn about the services, network with veterans and military families, and discover other resources that you might have available to you because of the service to your country, check that out. Be more on our website if you want to check that out. This is the reason we're all here. We're here for our guests, and that's wonderful. But we are here to roast the hell out of C.I.A. Bob, and the master roaster tonight is going to be my guest, AJ Merrifield. Great guy, military police officer. Served with him in the 716th MP Battalion. He'll tell you a bunch of stories about himself. Does all kinds of stuff, but he is also going to roast the hell out of C.I.A. Bob. We're all looking forward to that. I see Al Hero in the green room. I do not see Matt Johnson. He is out of ranks, but without further ado, let me turn it over to the hero.
First of all, I just want to talk shit about Matt Johnson. You're soft as baby shit. You're weak. You're a fucking bitch. You're a punk. You're all that good stuff because you couldn't be on tonight. No, I'm just kidding. I know he's traveling, doing some stuff with his family, so we'll let him have the night off. He ain't shit no way, so we're not gonna miss him, but it's all good. Nope, I don't have a whole lot tonight, Ty. I do want to say, bro, can we stop bringing on fucking military police motherfuckers? I'm over the fucking MP Corps. Like I didn't serve in the fucking army, but I'm gonna tell you what. I've met so many MPs through you, and I'm glad because fuck, bro, I am so over the fucking MPs. Like, can we bring some other motherfuckers on? I mean, God, I know the MPs are bad motherfuckers and they do some pretty cool shit. They're not just gate guards. I know I like to say that, but I know they do a whole lot more than that. But damn, can we get a fucking Delta motherfucker on here? A cook? Anybody? Can we get somebody that's not a motherfucking cop? I feel like I need to watch my speed. I'm checking my rear view right now because all we have around us is fucking MPs. I don't know what's going on. I'm over. Over the fucking MPs.
I don't know what you said. It might have been all the MFs this and MFs that, but we just got a warning on TikTok, probably for all the shit talking, and we might get kicked off TikTok tonight on the roast. What do you think?
Nope. Well, I'll check myself, but I can't promise everybody else is going to be in check tonight. So
yeah.
Doc, can we bring you on? Can we get somebody else on here? I feel like I've met the entire 101st MP Corps. Everybody that's ever served in the MP Corps, I feel like I've met them. Now I know them. Like, I feel like I should be honorary military police because I know them all now. Like, I've met them all through time. Like, this is crazy. Nah, shout out to the MPs. Love you guys. You guys do some really gangster shit. Unlike the Air Force security forces, y'all ain't about nothing.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun show. There's a lot of comments, a lot of anticipatory shit talking going on, but it's good to see a lot of the old faces and names that don't normally watch. It's interesting what C.I.A. Bob will bring out in people.
I'm really a little disgruntled that TikTok really gave us a warning. All the crap that people put on TikTok. My kids are on TikTok. All the stuff that people put on TikTok, and y'all are really gonna give me a warning for dropping an F-bomb? Are we serious?
Yeah, I don't know what it was. It just said we had limited visibility for 10 minutes due to content, and so
wow,
I've never had that warning before. But Sarah Cobb, my beautiful wife, is watching on TikTok right now. So whoop there to you, honey.
Hey, Sarah.
Why do you say it with so little bass in your voice when you talk to my wife like that?
Because your wife is an amazing saint who's married to you. For whatever reason, she married you. I still don't understand that. I've seen your wife. She's beautiful. I don't understand. You must be, man, you know what I'm saying? I can't say because TikTok will ban us. But you must be swinging pipe. You must be anacondaing it up in the bedroom because there's no other reason behind it. She's a freaking saint. You keep your liver spotted hands off my saint.
I definitely married up. There ain't no doubt about that. But so did you twice.
Oh, bro, we all did, bro. Oh, twice to the same person. So there we are. Yeah, I miss Matt, bro. Shout out to Matt, man. I hope you have safe travels, brother.
Yeah, I was talking to Matt earlier today. He finished my shirt. There's a shirt that we're going to be debuting pretty soon on the show that Matt did for me. It was inspired by 1513 Cookers, Carlos Calzada, and I'm gonna be wearing this one to the Danny Dietz. So yeah,
nice.
All inspired by Barbecue Church. As we get the MF and F this for TikTok, and we're about to commence a roast. I'm releasing a religious shirt. Very nice.
Hey, you know what? Jesus knows your heart, so you're good. You're safe. He knows your heart. So you're good.
I see AJ is in the green room here. Let's go ahead, unless you got something else.
Nope, we're good, bro. Let's bring him on.
Yeah, since Matt's not here, we'll just get right to it. Ladies and gentlemen, AJ Merrifield.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Excellent. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here. I mean, well, really, I'd like to be a lot of other places, but I guess I'll settle for being here.
Can't blame you.
You could have been anywhere in the world, and you're here with us. We appreciate that.
Yeah, isn't that kind of a sad statement? Holy crap. By the way, if I disappear, it's not because I decided to just leave. There's a nasty storm coming through, so we may lose power here any minute. So just giving you a heads up.
Yeah,
where are you at, AJ?
Just outside of Austin. It's a little town called Lakeway. So if you go to Austin, which is the people,
which just so you know, I never would because.
Well,
Austin never would go to
Austin. Then right outside, back in America, you have Lakeway, which is where I am.
Okay, cool. So you're still in America. I got it.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Austin is the California, Texas. I will not be visiting.
Yes, 100%. It's Austin's weird, man. It's like the saying is keep Austin weird. Oh yeah. And I think it got to the point where as they grew, they realized in order to keep Austin weird, they had to import more weirdness from California. So that's what they've started to do.
Well, see, you guys are lucky. At least in your state, they're in one central location. I live in Florida. Like we have pockets of weirdness.
Yeah, you've got pockets of weird
everywhere.
But here's the thing that is at least easy for you to spot in Florida. Is in Florida, all you have to do is listen for either, somebody with a massive New York accent, or they're walking around with flip-flops and socks, or they're wearing a Yankees hat.
Facts.
So they're easy to spot.
Hard facts, straight facts.
Yeah. It's Austin. They kind of blend in. They look just like all the other kombucha drinking, kind of coffee roasting, IPA drinking, usual. Yeah.
Very nice.
Basically the C.I.A. Bobs of Texas, if you will.
It's
so
getting.
I know you've probably watched the show, maybe you haven't. So I'm assuming, Ty, we are going to roast the shit out of Bob Maher, which I'm super excited about.
Oh, it's happening. It's 100% happening.
I definitely want to hear a little about your story, AJ. I definitely want to hear a little bit of, tell us about where you're from, where you grew up, your motivation to join the military, where that came from, and you kind of walk us a little bit, through your military career, what you've done, where you've been, just kind of give us the 411 on AJ.
So it's funny. I was not one of those guys who went into the military right out of high school. I actually went to college, went into the corporate world, went into the IT world specifically, worked my way up through there. And 2001, I was actually working in Atlanta. I was the senior director for high availability clustered services and hardware engineering for the world's largest web hosting firm. So basically, I was responsible for all of the high availability and clustered servers that ran things like when Toyota came out with the Prius, when you could first order the Prius, you had to order it online. It was my team that designed and built those solutions. And then when the Federal Reserve Bank decided to revamp their systems, we designed and built that system. When Schlumberger came out with the first prepaid debit card, it was my team that designed and built the solution that ran that. So a lot of IT work. Before that, I'd actually worked for you. I'm sure you've heard of McAfee, like McAfee Antivirus. I was their head West Coast consultant for Windows-based networking. And so I had a bunch of friends and a bunch of contacts that worked in the Pentagon, worked in the Trade Center. And so when September 11th happened, and it was funny because I just happened to be homesick that day. And I was watching TV and like Price is Right or something. And I watched the attacks happen, and I was sick to my stomach. I was started calling everybody I knew to see, who'd made it. And so it really kind of hit close to home. And I had just signed a work extension with the contract I was on. And so when I went back into work the next day, I told my boss, I'm like, just so you know, as soon as my contract's up, I'm out.
Right.
And he's like, oh, did you get another job offer? I'm like, no, I'm joining the Army. And he kind of I don't think he really understood that I meant it. And so I went down to the recruiter's office and signed all my delayed entry paperwork. And as soon as my contract was up, I shipped off. And originally I wanted to go infantry. In fact, I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't wait for that. But they said at the time, because September 11th, everybody was signing up. Everybody wanted to go infantry. And so they were like, well, we can't get you in infantry for 14 months or whatever it was. but we can get you in as an MP. And I'm like, I do not want to be an MP. That hell no. So then they're like, okay, let me just show you this video. So he puts this video on the TV, and it showed a Humvee going down the road with a Mark 19 on the back, and the gunner was going to town with a Mark 19. And I was like, is that machine gun shooting grenades? He went, yep, yeah, it is. I'm like, oh yeah, sign me up for that. I want that. And so really I can blame the Mark 19 for my becoming an MP. But yeah, so as soon as my contract was up, I walked in my boss's office. I said, hey, just a reminder, I said when my contract was up, I was out. Well, I'm out. And that kind of shocked him, and I left and went in and went to Fort Lost in the Woods, Missouri, did OSUT there. And from there I went to Korea. Korea was interesting.
Yeah, tell us about Korea.
Yeah,
I love Korea, AJ.
So here's the thing. So I love Korea.
I was in Pohang. I was in the forgotten.
Okay, so I've been to Pohang. So yes, yeah. No, I know Pohang really well. And so I was down in Busan, all the way down south, but we actually backfilled all these units all around the country. So I've been all over Korea. I think I've been to almost every single base and depot in Korea. And Korea was interesting. Korea's one of those places where it's like, first of all, the food's amazing. The people are great. One of the things for me with Korea, though, was I remember it being summer, and it was so hot and so humid that we had the old like Vietnam era of like flak vests. And I remember sweating all the way through that flak vest.
Yep.
And I remember thinking, why the hell would anybody like live in a place that's this stupid hot, let alone fight over who gets to live here? Then I thought, well, at least it's got to be better in the winter. And then the winter came, and we had snowdrifts 8-9 feet high. And I was like, wait, so it's that hot in the summer and it's this cold and miserable in the winter. Why the hell does anybody live here, let alone fight over who gets to live here? So yeah, Korea was interesting. I honestly had a great time in Korea, though. And as a duty station, I think it was an amazing first duty station. It was really interesting because you had a much higher ops tempo than you had, in most units stateside. So there was a lot less, doing all the stupid BS around the barracks. And it was more like prepping and training. And if you weren't in the field, you were getting ready to go to the field. It was, there was no just sitting around, twiddling our thumbs. So as a first duty station, that was great. And especially because coming into the military, I mean, like when I went through basic, I was 27. And so that was,
you were older, just not as old as Bob, but you were older when he went back.
I don't think anybody was as old as Bob. So, it's, I was definitely older though. I remember going through basic and it's like 18, 19, 18, yep. 18, 19, 20. Then it got to me and, suddenly I was grandpa. Then thank God we had some guy that went through basic with us who was 42. And that poor bastard, like, I swear he must have just been mainlining Geritol to make it through each day. Cause that was, I mean, at 27, 28, that was rough. So, I mean, I can't even imagine it at 42. But yeah, it was a great first duty station. My first job, I was a gunner for about a week. Then I became a driver for about a week. And the next thing I knew, I was a team leader.
Yeah.
And so I was a PFC team leader. So that was like, what in the world? Then from there I went to, so before I got my next duty station, at the time, the 8th MP Brigade had a big thing they called the Iron Watchdog, which was like their big, like you had to do a ruck march and a PT test, and like there was a bench press and a deadlift and weapons qual and like a swim and like all these different things. And they had different ranks of where you were in the watchdog ranks. So I qualified bronze my first time and then silver my second. And they were like battalion and brigade, like watched that like hawks. And the outgoing brigade commander, 8th MP brigade commander, Colonel Champagne, was getting ready to rotate to the States to be the deputy provost marshal for the U.S. Army. And when he was rotating back, they had the Army ball. And as part of that, they had a thing where they tagged the top 8 of the 8th, the top 8 soldiers of the 8th MP brigade. And with that, I was selected to be one of the top 8 of the 8th. And so Colonel Champagne actually asked me before I rotated back stateside where I wanted to go. And I was like, I want to go someplace where I can deploy. Send me to Hood, send me to Bragg, send me to Campbell. Ideally, I want to go to either Campbell or Bragg, but I'll take wherever I can get to deploy. Because for me, it was kind of eating me up that I joined the military to deploy to Iraq, and instead I was in Korea. And so he pulled some strings back saying, I know I'm going to Campbell. And I get to Campbell, and I kid you not, I'm at Campbell for like 2 weeks, and I get a message from one of the guys that I was with in Korea that my platoon, of all the platoons, of all the companies in Korea, was selected to go to Iraq. I'm like, are you like, really? Really? So I get to Campbell, and I was actually the last soldier assigned to the 101st MP company because they were getting ready to shut it down and stand up the 561st. And so I got assigned to the 101st, and I was all excited. Then, of course, I find out that they're shutting it down, and I'm like, really? And so I'm thinking, okay, well, at least I'm at Campbell. I'm gonna deploy pretty quickly. But then I find out because they're standing up 561, because it's a brand new unit, it's not going to deploy. So I'm just like, you've got to be kidding. Like, all I want to do is deploy. That's what I joined the military to do. I wasn't wanting one of those to just sit on my hands and do nothing. I wanted to deploy. That's what I joined for.
Right.
And so I was going nuts. I was chomping at the bit. And so, just doing all the stuff, and did air assault school, and, did all those things. And then I started doing boards, and I actually ended up winning the Division NCO of the Year board for 2005. And when I actually won the board, I was a corporal. So that was a trip because, it's like I'm still under 3 years at this point. Heck, I was like 2.5 years in at this point. Actually, God, come to think of it, I take that back. I was under 2 years.
Definite sign that you're getting old if you can't remember.
Yeah, no, it was under 2 years at that point, and I was a corporal, and won NCO of the Year. And I was going up against like sergeants first class and staff sergeants, and so to beat those guys as a corporal felt great. Especially because, one of the things being an MP, we didn't have a lot of the weapon systems that a lot of the regular brigades did. So like we didn't have 240 Bravos, and we didn't have Mod Deuces, and we didn't have a lot of other stuff. And I started calling around to all the different brigades to see if I could, get hands-on with that equipment, because I knew it was going to be part of the Division NCO of the Year competition. And they basically told me to pound sand because they knew I was going to be competing against their guys. And so I ended up talking to 5th Special Forces Group, and like they had me down in their arms room, and I spent almost a month with those guys working on different weapon systems. And so, thanks to those guys. And so I won Division NCO of the Year, and, I was excited. I'm like, that's pretty cool. And of course, being an MP, I went back to working the road, and I'll never forget, I was working the road, and at the time I had a little Palm Trio, like the old, smartphone. And I got an email, and it was from HQDA saying, congratulations, you've come down on orders for recruiting. And I'm just like, son of a, because again, all I want to do is deploy. And so I came down on orders for recruiting. And once you come down on orders, you're not getting out of orders for recruiting.
No.
And I'm like, all I want to do is deploy. And you guys keep on like putting me everywhere except deploying. And I was pissed. And so I'm sitting there and I'm working the road and I pull somebody over and pull him over and I'm getting ready to write him a ticket. And some vehicle pulls in behind my patrol vehicle. And I'm thinking, who's this idiot? And I look over and it's the division sergeant major. And I'm like, oh God. And so he comes over, and I don't know if you've ever met Sergeant Major Grippy or you've seen Sergeant Major Grippy, but Frank Grippy is this big, huge ranger. And so he comes over, hey, wild man, gives you a big chest punch. And so he asks me how I'm doing. I said, I'm doing okay, Sergeant Major. I'm just kind of pissed off. He goes, well, why are you pissed off? And so I explained that I just come down on orders for recruiting. And he's like, meet me at headquarters. I'm like, Roger, Sergeant Major. So I call in to the MP base and I say, hey, I'm on my way to division headquarters. They're like, what? There's like a long pause. And then they're like, why? And I'm like, I don't know. The division sergeant major just told me to follow him there. And there's a long pause. The next thing I know, my phone rings. And it was I forget who it was. It was somebody from the PMO calling saying, what did you do? Did you piss him off? And I'm like, I don't know. I just told him what's going on. So I go to division headquarters. Now, bear in mind, I'd never been in division headquarters. I'd like passed it a bunch of times, but never been in it. I had met the sergeant major once, and that was when I was actually at the board for NCO of the year, but like we hadn't had the award ceremony yet or anything. So I hadn't met anybody from headquarters. And so I walk in and I'm like, I don't even know where to go. And it's the old headquarters building. So it's this tiny little building. And next thing I know, the sergeant major pops out of this office down the hallway. Goes, hey, sergeant major, come here. I'm like, oh God. Okay. So I follow him down there into his office. And in the short span between winning and the award ceremony, I picked up my E6 at that point. So, my E5 rather at that point. So I was a E5 sergeant. So I walk in and I realize, oh, holy crap, I'm standing in the commanding general's office and I don't know what the hell to do. And so sergeant major goes, hey, tell the CG what you just told me. And I'm like, I just came down on recruiting orders. So sergeant major's like, we can't let that happen. No. And they start going off because they're mad because their new NCO of the year is now being pulled out of the unit. Next thing I know, they're on the phone to USREC. The General Turner's calling the commanding general for USREC. Sergeant Major Grippy's calling the command sergeant major for USREC. I'm in there for all of about 45 seconds and my phone pings and I look down and I've gotten a new email. Your orders for recruiting have been deleted. And I'm like, oh crap. Oh, okay. And so CG looks at me and he goes, so, you're not going recruiting. So what are you doing now? And I'm like, well, my unit's getting ready to deploy to Afghanistan in like a year. And at the time there was nothing going on. Afghanistan was dead. All the action was in Iraq because this was like right building up to the surge. And so CG goes, do you want to go to Afghanistan? I'm like, not really, sir. I'd rather be in Iraq. He goes, you want to go to Iraq with us? I'm like, sure, sir. Next thing I know, sergeant major is calling our battalion. He's like, sergeant major works for me now. Click. I'm like, what just happened? And so, of course, I come out of their office and my phone's blowing up and like my battalion sergeant major's going off that, they're not going to release me and blah, blah, blah. So, of course, that turned into a phone call from division to battalion, telling battalion to pound sand. And next thing I know, within 24 hours, I'd cleared my old unit. I'm now part of headquarters 101st. And that was leading right up. And so at the time, this is right when Band of Brothers, like I'm sure you've seen the show Band of Brothers, had come out. And so everybody was super excited, especially the 101st, because, it's 101st. Well, but one of the interesting things was, when Band of Brothers came out was right when the 506th Parachute Infantry Regiment had been reattached to the 101st for the first time since World War II. So this was the first time that the division as a whole existed in the same state as it had during World War II. So it was a big thing. So I'm upstairs in one of the conference rooms and the CG walks in and he's super excited. And I'm like, what's up, sir? He goes, "Oh, I'm so excited! We finally got the approval from HBO and from Tom Hanks' office and from Stephen Ambrose's office. We got the approval for the task force name." I'm like, "What's that, sir?" He goes, "Well, we got to deploy as a task force. So we got to name the task force. We're going to be Task Force Band of Brothers. It's going to be great." And of course, me being a smart ass and of course realizing that the Army, everything becomes an acronym. And I went, "So we're going to be Task Force Bob?" It's like, no, it's going to be Task Force Band of Brothers. Everyone's going to be excited about it. Roger, sir. So fast forward a few months later, we are getting ready to replace the 42nd Infantry Division. And we walk in to they had this big, huge conference room in the headquarters, big, huge, massive screen, like 50 feet across. And up there, I'll never forget it, where the map usually was, there's this big, huge slide. And it says 42nd ID welcomes TFBOB. And before I could say anything, General Turner stops, turns around, looks at me, and goes, "Not a word, Sergeant Merrifield. Not a word." I literally had to turn around and walk out of the room. I was like, I called it. So, when people ask where Bob on the Fob came from, that was the genesis of Bob on the Fob. Was we were Task Force Band of Brothers on the forward operating base. So Bob on the Fob. Where the comics came from, because I drew a series of comics called Bob on the Fob. I'm sure some of your reviewers have seen them before. I was replacing this guy who had been the CSM's driver, and he was doing everything he could to try to find any reason to not leave the Fob. And so I started calling him a Fobbit because I'm a nerd and I loved Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and I just pictured him, and he was short too, which didn't help. And so I always pictured him as this little hobbit, like in his little hobbit hole, like not wanting to leave. And so I drew a comic making fun of him, and I posted it on his desk. Well, it just so happened one of the PAO guys walked by and saw that comic, thought it was hilarious. The CG saw it, he thought it was hilarious. So they asked if I'd be willing to draw the comic for the magazine that they put out for MND North, for Multinational Division North. And I was like, sure. So I started drawing these comics, just making fun of the stuff that we saw on a daily basis. And in fact, actually, if you read through the comics, most of the quotes in the comics are just like conversations that I heard, like almost word for word. So that's kind of an interesting thing that a lot of people don't realize. They weren't just like, "Hey, I've got a great idea." It was usually I heard somebody say something and it triggered something in my brain, and I was like, "Okay, that's perfect." And so, yeah, I did those comics, and I never in a million years figured they would go as far and as wide as they have. I would get photos from like somebody sent me a photo from outside the Secretary of Defense's office. They had the Cockroach comic above the coffee maker there. I saw a photo from McMurdo Base in Antarctica where somebody had put one of the photos there. So I know with unequivocally, I can state that the comics have been on all 7 continents, which is kind of insane. They've been all over the place, and I got a ton of messages from folks saying that getting a chance to laugh at the stuff they were going through kind of helped them get through some of the deployments. So that's something I'm pretty proud of. One of the things that blows my mind is the U.S. Army War College actually did a museum presentation of military artists, and I was one of the cartoonists that they featured in that presentation. So I actually had my stuff on display in the museum, which is just insane to me. I don't know if you're or have seen the comic Doctrine Man, but Steve Leonard, the guy who does Doctrine Man, actually went to the museum and sent me some photos and stuff. So that was kind of crazy to see. But yeah, it was just it blew my mind to see how far and wide the comics went and how many people saw them and reacted to them. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, before you go any further, I just want to say before we get too far away from it. So your career as an MP, as you were going through telling the story, I just remember we were M-towed, M4s, M16s, M9s, AT4s when we deployed. We had those real cool Eagle mounts. I remember always having real good, real nice, for the most part, real nice equipment. Mar 19, 249, MPs always had grenades. Always got to go to grenade ranges. I think one of my first ranges on Fort Campbell was the Mar 19 ranges. So that's
nice.
out to me. And then you guys always had a real good MTO of TACSAT FM. You got the BFTs, all the high speed stuff, Dukes. I was an EWO. So the mission set you, I say all that to say this. The mission set the MP's done. Last time I'll say this, Al, I'll stop kissing the MP's ass.
Yeah, get off MP's dicks, bro.
But
they're not that fucking cool. They're cops. Great. Congratulations. I'm just kidding.
So I spent
you're not wrong. I mean,
I spent 10 years with them, but the amount of friends I made and then the training I got to go to because of the mission set that we were always training for, always standing up new companies, testing metal, competing, Amber, Gloria, Doc Powell, shout out girl, said MPs always like their competitions. Like you were Division Soldier of the Year. I think our warfighter team was winning.
Yep.
Placing very well during that entire 2000 GWAT.
Yeah. And I mean,
what's poetic about that of the MP Corps?
Oh yeah. I mean, the MP Corps, I will say, is very competitive internally. You look, for example, at the competition that goes into the BG Holland, which is the number one MP company in the Army. I've been a part of 5 submissions to the BG Holland award. 4 of the submissions I helped work on actually won. And so, you look at how granular they get in tracking the competence of the soldiers and the ability to meet the standard. It's unlike the majority of, shall we say, big Army units that I've dealt with. There's both good and bad to that. There's a saying that MPs eat their young. And I've seen that happen many, many times. And I think it's because there's such a competitive internal atmosphere there. But at the same time, in the right hands and in the right way, it also leads to some very high performing troops. I was lucky enough to spend some time with a number of different guys from different special missions units. And one of the things that I talked to a number of those guys about is, where they recruit from. And one of the things that one of the guys said from asymmetric warfare was that they had a lot of guys come out of the MP Corps, and it was because there was such a competitive atmosphere in there that going and competing for something else, for selection, for example, was just like another day. Whereas a lot of other guys came out of units where, competing for individual stuff was really something they weren't too used to. So, it's a really interesting atmosphere there. It can be very growth oriented and very task oriented and very good at helping folks to rise above and really kind of push themselves. But at the same time, I've also seen it become very toxic. So it's kind of both the best and worst of the Army all in one fell swoop.
Yeah, I totally agree. Being there and seeing it from a third party perspective, there were times in OIF1 where, I was with the PMO, but they'd be like, yeah, just put an MP Brizard on Cobb and have him go out and see if that's somebody that we should be looking at. I'm at the D-rear talk now. This is there's nothing that's alarming 4-alarm fire going on there, but just the reverence that the rest of the force has for them when it actually comes down to doing stuff.
I know I'd say reverence. I think it's more.
No, I'm talking about the reverence by all those like people that you're talking about the mission. You're looking at things from like macro.
Yeah.
From Narvi. So officers love to have MPs
Oh yeah. Oh, big
Under
time.
their command, TACON, OPCON, whatever. It's just
big time.
that's what I loved about you guys.
Yeah, and because of that, I got a chance to do a lot of really kind of interesting non-standard things. Got attached to a lot of unique units and unique things going on. So that was actually really cool. It was just the opportunity to do a lot of really unique missions that most other units didn't get a chance to do. That was great. And in fact, that's so. After doing that deployment. Came back, spent some more time on Campbell, and then when and of course Bob's taken credit for getting those Eagle mounts, of course. When I came back from that deployment, I spent some time at the 163rd MP Det, and then went from there to Fort Hood, and that was an eye opener. Because bear in mind, I'd come from Korea where the op tempo was really high. I got to Campbell where the op tempo was high and the training and everything was excellent. I got to Hood. I have never seen a place in my entire life as afraid of its own shadow as 3 Corps and Fort Hood was. Everything was Mother May I. Everything was, oh my God, have you done a risk assessment? Because that sounds kind of risky. And then of course, no matter how much, risk mitigation you put in, nothing would get approved. It was the most risk averse atmosphere I've ever seen. And that was eye opening to me because I realized if the rest of the Army is like this, like get me back to Campbell. Like that was really interesting. Hood itself was interesting. I was actually there when the Nidal Hassan shooting happened. In fact, I was getting ready to deploy to Iraq as part of the PSD for General Cohn, who at the time was the commanding general for 3 Corps. He was going to Iraq to take over as the DCGO for U.S. Forces Iraq. And we were actually supposed to be in the building where the shooting happened, like 5 minutes after the shooting happened. And so we were in this one building getting ready to head to that building where the shooting happened when the shooting occurred. And so they shut down the whole base, everybody hunkered down. And that was really interesting. In fact, it was some of my previous soldiers who actually responded to that because I'd been pulled out of my unit to deploy with 3 Corps headquarters. And some of my soldiers from when I'd been a platoon sergeant actually were the ones that replied to that shooting. So that was really interesting. That was interesting. Then deployed to Iraq again. This time I was at Victory Base, and then ended up. So I started off with General Cohn's PSD. Then I got pulled out to take over as the PSO and the head of the PSD detail for General Hunziker. Then when he rotated back stateside, I stayed on and became the PSO and head of the PSD for General Cardone, and did that until I came back to the U.S. And that was interesting, and that actually led to me pulling what is probably one of the biggest pranks ever pulled in the U.S. Army, or actually probably in the military in general, which was the Warrior Companion.
We've heard about this on another podcast, but I'm so happy you're going to tell this story on ours. Go ahead.
So it started off with, we got stuck in Kuwait, which if you've ever been in Kuwait's not the place you want to get stuck. It's boring. It's hot. It's humid. It's not, it's kind of like Houston. Think of Houston, but without any good restaurants. And so we got stuck there because of a sandstorm, and we wanted to get up to Iraq so we could start the mission and get things going. And we're stuck in down in Kuwait, and it's hot and it's miserable and it's sandy. And so, soldiers being soldiers, we're like, okay, we got to do something to fill the time. And this one squad leader and I we came up with the idea. We're like, you know what? We're going to start a rumor. We don't know what, but we're going to start a rumor. And so we started brainstorming, like, what rumor are we going to start? And So the first rumor we thought about was that we were going to say that they're going to let women into ranger school, which ironically enough, now there's women who are rangers. So, but at the time, the thought of women in ranger school was like, oh my God, no, never, that'll never happen. So then we thought about starting that rumor, then we figured nobody would believe it. So then we said that we were going to start a rumor that we're going to let women in the infantry, which again, now there's women in the infantry. And then we're like, no, nobody will believe that. And so then as we're in the middle of having this conversation, somebody walked through the dining facility that we were in and told another soldier to make sure they had a battle buddy when they went to the gym. And it was like a light bulb moment. I was like, oh, I've got it. So I was a dork in high school. I was a theater geek. I actually did a play in high school called The Warrior's Companion, which interestingly enough, if you're a theater dork, The Warrior's Companion was the play that Katharine Hepburn actually got her start on Broadway in. The famous actress Katharine Hepburn. And so I was like, okay, I've got it. We're going to start a rumor that the Army is doing away with the phrase battle buddy and replacing it with the phrase warrior companion. And the idea being, like at the time, everything was warrior this, warrior that, warrior ethos, all of these things. I'm like, so that's it. That's what we're going to say. So we go to the library and we start an argument. I'm like, I don't care what First Sergeant says. I ain't calling you that. That's the dumbest, gayest thing I've ever heard. And my buddy's like, no, but you saw the memo. I'm like, yeah, I know I saw the memo. I'm not doing it. And so we start arguing back and forth. And sure enough, some other guys come over like, what are you guys arguing about? Like, there's some memo that went out that said that you can't say battle buddy anymore. Now it's got to be warrior companion because everything's got to be warrior this and warrior that. They're like, well, that's gay. I'm like, that's what I said. And so we went to the DFAC and we went to the PX and we went to the gym and we went to like all of these different places and had that same argument. And we did it for multiple days. And we knew it started to gain some traction when we were in the dining facility having breakfast and these two lieutenants walked by and one of them goes, hey man, make sure you have a warrior companion when you go to the gym later. It's like, oh, they're actually buying it. And these were guys that weren't even remotely part of our unit or anything. So eventually we get up to Iraq, and being PSD for, at the time, General Cone, we're doing battlefield circulation and we're going around to all of these bases. And we started doing the same thing at all of these bases where, my buddy and I would start an argument and next thing you know, there's other guys talking about it. And that went on for a while. And then I'll never forget, we were getting ready to go to the embassy, and General Cone and General Odierno were talking as we're heading out the door. And General Odierno turns to General Cone and says, make sure you have a warrior companion when you go to the embassy. And I was like, yes. So that was like when I was like, oh man, I got to take it to the next level. So here's the thing. And Cobb, you'll appreciate this being a commo guy. For those who don't know, in the military, you have two main computer networks. You have NIPR, which is non-classified, regular internet, basically, and SIPR, which is all your secret level stuff, right? And never the twain shall meet. You can't connect one to the other. And stay in the Army. You'll end up getting kicked out if you do that. I've seen that happen. But the interesting thing about the SIPR network, and I don't know if this is still the case, but at the time, if you sent a fax over the SIPR network, when you went to send the fax, it would ask for your email and it would ask for a phone number, but it wouldn't validate it. It would just take whatever you put in, and then it would send your fax to wherever you sent it. And so I typed up a fake, what they call an ALARACT, an All Army Actions Message, which is the way that orders go out from the U.S. Army. And it was this big, huge, long ALARACT about how the Army's doing away with Battle Buddy because we're not in a type of environment where there's battles going on, and they're replacing it with Warrior Companion because of warrior ethos and yada yada, all these BS excuses. And typed up the big thing, and I sent a fax from SIPR to everybody I knew who had a SIPR email address. But I sent them all as BCCs, as blind carbon copies, so they couldn't see who it had gone to. And I included myself. And so as soon as I got it in my SIPR email, I sent that same fax that I'd sent to myself to everybody that I'd just sent it to and said, oh my God, I just got this SIPR email. Did you guys see this? I can't believe this. This is the dumbest, gayest thing I've ever seen. And next thing you know, there's 200 different conversations going on about, oh my God, what's going on? I can't believe the Army's doing this. Somebody else is going, oh, I believe it. That's the kind of thing the Army would do. And it spread like wildfire. I kind of had an inkling that it may have gotten a little bit out of control when I got a call from a buddy of mine at Fort Drum, who said that their CG had put it out at a division-wide formation that they had to use Warrior Companion instead of Battle Buddy. That was kind of an oh crap moment. And it kept spreading from there to the point where it's still making the rounds today. Like I'll get a message from somebody who's working at some ROTC at some college, and they've got a memo up on the wall that says you have to use Warrior Companion. I'm like, oh my God, I broke the Army. So it spread so far and so wide that next thing you know, there's a story in Stars and Stripes, which is the official U.S. military newspaper, talking about is the Army doing away with Battle Buddy and replacing it with Warrior Companion. And I'm like, this may have gotten a little bit out of hand. I could potentially be in some trouble here. And it was so bad that they were getting letters from Green Berets saying that if this was the direction the Army was going in, this kind of politically correct, namby-pamby, gay Warrior Companion, they wanted it out of the Army. It was bad enough. It actually started to affect retention within special operations. It got so bad that they reached out to the Department of the Army for a quote. And this is the part that to this day just blows my mind. The Department of the Army's response was, as far as we can tell, it's a hoax. And I'm like, you're the guys who write the memos. How do you not know for sure this is a hoax? For crying out loud. And here's where it gets even better. The name of the fictional Sergeant Major it came from was Sergeant Major Jeff Oke. O-K-E. J-O-K-E. I'm like, what? How do you not grasp this? It blows my mind to this day. And so it spread and went everywhere. And then they officially came out with a statement that said that, the Army's not doing away with Battle Buddy. They're not switching to Warrior Companion. And that was actually the number one story for the entire year on Stars and Stripes and on stripes.com. It was to the point where they actually created a new job called the Rumor Doctor, hired a guy named Jeff Schogel, who now works for Task and Purpose, and hired him just to debunk rumors like that. Like, that's how far this story went. This prank got so out of hand, it created a job. It was insane. And so when I got out of the Army, one of the first things I did was to message Jeff Schogel and say, hey, do you want to know the real story behind Warrior Companion? And he's like, yeah, I do. Because here's the thing. I had actually taken photos of myself typing that fake Alaract and had saved a Word document of the original Alaract with, the timestamps and everything on it. And so I forwarded it all to him. And so they published the story on Stars and Stripes. And that became the number one story for the year on Stars and Stripes. Fast forward, 3 years later, and I'm actually working with a non-profit. I take that back. I'm sorry. 2 years later, and I'm with a nonprofit called Songwriting with Soldiers, which pairs returning vets from Iraq and Afghanistan and now Vietnam vets with some of the top songwriters in the world to tell their stories and help bridge that gap and kind of bring people together. And we were at a fundraiser. It's actually the Bob Woodruff Foundation fundraiser in Washington, D.C. And we're literally directly across from the White House. Like I can look across the lawn and I'm looking right at the White House. And I walk in the room and General Odierno sees me. And General O comes over and he looks at me and the first words out of his mouth are, "Where's your fucking warrior companion, Sergeant Merrifield?"
Classic.
I was like,
that's the greatest story I've ever heard.
The funny thing is that I was around all this, and I knew at some point that he was Bob on the fob, and you hear all kinds of crazy stuff of the stories. I don't think I've ever heard both stories back to back, but I've heard these stories are legendary in the MP Corps, in the Army, of course, for that one. But like, hats off to you, man. You can tell a fucking story for sure.
So yeah, that was a trip, man. That was I never expected it to get as far and wide as it did. But it did, and it's still going. And in fact, like if you guys are familiar with Mandatory Fun Day, he had me on his podcast to tell that story. And, it's just, it's still making the rounds. That's the thing that blows my mind. Like I'll still see people who are convinced that it's real. In fact, it's funny. I was invited to be part of a group of guys jumping into Normandy for the 75th anniversary for D-Day. And so as part of that, I had to get current on the T-10 Charlies before I could jump again, because I had to be current. And so I'm down in Florida getting ready to jump, and somebody in that line that we're getting ready to manifest on the aircraft, one of the guys in the line starts telling somebody else, "Yeah, man, the Army these days is so soft. They're doing away with Battle Buddy and replacing it with Warrior Companion." And I lost it. I started laughing so hard. And he's like, "Well, what's so funny about that?" I'm like, "Dude, they're not doing that. I guarantee it. I'm the guy who created that rumor." He didn't believe me. So I actually pulled up Stars and Stripes and showed him on my phone. He was like, "Holy crap. Oh my God." And so I've actually got a photo that a buddy of mine took right as I'm laughing my ass off, because I just heard him talk about Warrior Companion. I was like, good God, this is the prank that will not die. So yeah, I kind of feel like I broke part of the Army. There's a part of me that thinks that all of the changes that have occurred in the Army were predicated with the start of Warrior Companion.
Well, you talk about all the things that you came up with, and you know, obviously there's LPOPs or all kinds of time for travel during the Global War on Terror. But at what point did you begin transitioning out of the Army?
So 2011, I really kind of realized it was time to call it a day. I was starting to have some memory issues. I was starting to realize that, some of the TBIs and other things had started to kind of take their toll, and realized it was probably time to hang it up. I found myself being less of an asset, more of a liability. And so I realized, in a profession where, you need to be an asset instead of a liability, it was time to kind of hang it up. And so I went back to the civilian world. Ironically enough, while I was in my ETS leave, I went down to buy a motorcycle, and ended up leaving not with a motorcycle, but actually ended up with a job from Harley Davidson selling Harleys, and started selling Harleys, and then got promoted to sales manager. And then I got promoted to finance manager. And then about that time, while I was doing that, there was a hiring initiative put out by Xerox, because Xerox had just won the contract to run all IT services for the state of Texas. And as part of that contract, they had to hire a certain number of veterans. And so they were looking to hire a lot of veterans in the IT world. But because I'd been away from IT at that point for a decade, like I knew I was going to have to come in at the bottom of the totem pole. And so I came in as a junior level analyst. Like I was literally the bottom of the totem pole. Within a year and a half, I'd actually set a record at Xerox for the most promotions and most pay raises in a 1-year span, to the point where my last promotion actually had to go to the CEO of Xerox, not just the division within Xerox, but the overall global CEO for Xerox for approval. And did that up until I got recruited away from Xerox to go work for a little up and coming retailer that you may hear of someday called Amazon. They do some online stuff. I got recruited to go work for them and did that for a while. And actually got recruited by one of our old MP officers from the 101st to go work there. And so did that, then got recruited away from that to go back to work for Harley, and actually was a regional finance director for a chain of dealerships, and then left that to be the chief operating officer for a holding company for managing 27 companies in 9 states, and did that up until my dad's health started to fail, and so I moved back to California to help my dad recover, and was there to help him towards the end of his life as his health started to fail, and stayed there until my mom, until my dad passed, and then got my mom squared away. And once she was good to go, then I was like, I got to get back to Texas. And so I came back to Texas and been here ever since, and met my now wife. And so here I am.
Excellent. So you got anything there, Al?
No, bro. I'm ready to get to the roast because
if I can,
we got people. Go ahead.
I think a couple things I want to say real quick. I think the key, because I've worked a lot with different groups that work on hiring veterans and veterans that are making the transition, and I think one of the things that a lot of veterans, at least the guys that I've spoken with, have run into is, when you come out of the military and you have that sense of purpose, you have that sense of, this is what I need to do. This is when I need to do it. These guys are counting on me to do it. I need to do this. And there's this real sense of urgency there. And I think guys get into the civilian world and they see what's going on around them, and they see the kind of, I hate to say it, but it's true. It's the lackadaisical attitude that you see in a lot of civilians. They just kind of like stumble through and just kind of, whatever. I think the key to keeping the motivation and keeping yourself sane is to find that internal motivation and really kind of, if somebody else isn't going to set the standard for you wherever you're working, you need to set the standard for everybody else. And I think when you can do that, when you can set that mission yourself, and you can not only set that mission, but also complete that mission and show other people how it's done, I think that's when guys start to kind of find that connection back to that sense of purpose. The other issue, and I think this is one of the things that, and this is why I got involved with songwriting with soldiers. People forget that have been in an all-volunteer force since after Vietnam, which I think is great, but there's some caveats there. From Vietnam and earlier, there was always a chance that you could be drafted. There was always a chance that you could be selected to go serve. And so because of that, every community had somebody that served. Every community was impacted when people served. Every community was impacted when there was a war, and everybody knew somebody that was serving, or they themselves had served. When we transitioned to an all-volunteer force, and by the way, the current all-volunteer force in the U.S. Army is the longest-serving volunteer force in human history. That's something to bear in mind. That we have been in the longest extended period of warfare with an all-volunteer force ever. The problem with that is, because it's all volunteer, you end up with very insular communities, very, very small communities of folks who've served. So when guys get out of the military and they go back to their communities, the chances are that the majority of the people around them have no way to connect to that service or understand what that service entailed, or there's no joint connective tissue there. And so they don't know how to bridge that gap. I think one of the keys we need to do is find a way for veterans to communicate their service with the folks who've never served, but also to communicate that service with other veterans. Songwriting with Soldiers, for example, is a great way to do it because they actually use music to bridge that gap and to build that communication back. One of the things that I've heard over and over again at all the different retreats I've gone to, because I first went as a participant, and then I've gone back as a peer counselor and peer support. One of the things I've heard over and over and over again is, oh, I thought I was the only one who thought that, or I thought I was the only one who felt that way. And I think that's the key, is we have so many guys who are unfortunately killing themselves because they don't have that sense of connection. They don't understand that other people are feeling that same way because they don't have a way to communicate it. And it's hard to bring those things up. So I think that we as a veteran community need to communicate. We need to actually build that sense of connection, because if we don't build that sense of connection, then that sense of disconnection is what's going to kill us. So, that's kind of me on my soapbox there for a bit. But I think that, find your purpose. If somebody else won't give it to you, make one. And if you need to find a way to communicate, make that way to communicate. Because if you don't, it's going to kill you.
Yeah, man. Absolutely appreciate that. It is songwriting with soldiers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I put that on the screen, songwritingwithsoldiers.com. Kind of talk about like your writing process, maybe. Wax poetic about that a little bit, with how music is ingrained. Our body remembers that, and how you express yourself.
So that's the interesting thing is, so with Songwriting with Soldiers, it's not one of those, like, there's some groups where they teach the soldier how to write their songs. With Songwriting with Soldiers, they pair them with established songwriters, guys who have multiple #1 hits and are Grammy Award winners, or members of the Grand Ole Opry, and things like that. So the soldier just tells their story, just says, hey, this is what I experienced, this is what I've been through, this is my thoughts, my feelings, all of those things. And then the songwriters work with them to put it to music. And the interesting thing there is, music has a way of bridging the gap between thinking and feeling. And I think that's the key. Is it's one thing to think something. It's one thing to have that intellectual thought that, okay, this is a feeling. This is something somebody's going through. But when you can bridge it and make it emotional, that's when understanding begins, because it goes from the head to the heart. And when you hit the heart is when understanding, I think, truly begins. And so finding that way to bridge that gap between the head and the heart, and finding a way to do it in a fashion that doesn't rely on, having a shared experience, but is something that we can all understand, which is music, I think is an amazing way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the types of modalities we like to talk about is varied, and some things work for some people, some work for the other. But what I've noticed, and I'll say this, I appreciate your story, appreciate all that, but MPs, they seem to be a different breed, man. Like, for real, MPs there's such a wide spectrum of different type of MPs and their mission.
Yeah, that's for sure. I'm so fucking tired of the fucking MP Corps, bro. I'm nauseated. I'm just kidding. No, they're great.
I'm right there with you. So that's
no, you guys are awesome, bro. I just like to fuck with Bob because I know Bob was a fucking legitimate gate guard and never left the fob. He's like this fucking the quintessential gate guard. He probably was like, "Thank you for your service, sir. Come on in." Like I can just see him at the gate. There he is.
little look in there. But hey, before we get into the actual roast, which I know everybody's looking for, we're gonna do the hot seat first. This is all about you still.
Oh God,
AJ. Yeah, we'll. All right. Let me. We don't have Matt here to produce tonight, so I'll be doing it myself. All right. In the here, we like a couple questions and just get to see how you think. So back and forth. All right. Out of leadership, What is the most important Army value to you, Mr. Boardman?
Honestly, I think it's selfless service. It's, the best leaders I've found by far are the servant leaders, the ones who understand that it's my job as a leader to provide you the tools to do your job. Because if I do that, and I train you properly to have the tools, not just physical tools, but the actual like functional training tools to do that job, you're going to succeed. And I think those are the leaders that truly make the best, not just, because anybody can be a manager, but I think a leader is somebody who helps others to succeed, even when they themselves don't think they can. And so I think, that selfless service, that servant leadership is key.
Yeah, man. Hey, perfect answer, man. I loved how you waxed poetic there. Appreciate that. What is the biggest habit that you developed in your military career that to this day still sticks with you?
So this is going to be, it's funny. And I was actually just talking to my wife about this the other day. For me, it's constantly staying hydrated. I am always drinking water or something to stay hydrated. And yeah, I can't get away from it. If I'm not drinking, I'm always like, I need to have a drink. Where's a water bottle around here? So yeah, I think that's something that's stuck with me, and I just can't seem to get rid of.
Yeah, that's a good one. Like I eat real fast, and I notice that I always eat fast. I'm done with dinners when we sit down before.
Yep, and then you're waiting for everybody else, and you're like,
I'm waiting. I'm like, all right,
what's taking so long?
Let's hurry up here. Move it. Yeah. What is the most unique place in the world you've ever visited?
Oh God. Wow. Most unique place I've ever visited. I mean, obviously Iraq is up there just because, I mean, the stuff we saw in Iraq was such a trip. I remember driving through villages in Iraq, and you would see mud huts, like literal mud huts, something out of like 700 AD, like a mud hut with a $70,000 satellite dish on top of it and a $150,000 BMW parked out front with sheep in the back seat of the BMW. And it was the strangest juxtaposition of everything that you could possibly imagine. So yeah, I think Iraq would definitely be the most unique place I've ever been.
Yeah, I'm not for sure exactly. You might be able to help me on this one, but every time I ask this question, it just spurs a different memory for me. Do you remember in all those deployments between Iraq and Afghanistan, people would be like, "Oh, there's a castle that Alexander the Great built in, whatever year."
Oh yeah.
And then you'd be in a completely different country. Oh, yeah, I mean, he had a badass army anyway.
Yeah. No, that dude was everywhere.
Yeah, for
everywhere.
What is, if you had to listen to one song that was on your mission playlist for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I'm laughing because the literally the first thing that popped to my mind, because we used to put it on jokingly as we're going out the fence, was Barbie Girl. That's like literally the first thing that popped in my mind. But I guess if I had to be serious about my answer, I would say probably AC/DC Thunderstruck.
Oh yeah, and funny thing is, your boy Alberto Fight pretty much back in 2003 made Thunderstruck the official song for 7/16th. He put it in everything.
In all, I remember that, man. All of the videos, everything.
Shout out to the person that keeps us sane, licensed clinical social worker J. Alberto Fight, 7/16th 25 uniform. So shout out, buddy. All right, this leads to the next question. What was your first concert, and what's the best concert you've ever been to?
Oh crap. My first concert was actually Susie and the Banshees. And it was crazy. It actually ended up leading to my girlfriend at the time breaking up with me. But it was amazing. So I'd been a big Susan Banshees fan for forever. my parents actually bought me the tickets for a birthday gift, and Susie and the Banshees had a meet and greet at Tower Records out in LA. And so I'd lined up like 4 hours beforehand, and it was a complete lottery. Like, you didn't know if you're going to actually get to meet him or not. I got one of the last wristbands to get in for the meet and greet, and I had the cassette single for one of their songs with me. And I finally, after like 2 hours, get to the front of the line and hand their one of the guitarists the cassette single. And I said, I'm so excited. I've been wanting to see you guys for forever. I got, the tickets as a birthday gift. And he looks at me and goes, "Oh, it's your birthday?" And I go, "Well, it's coming up." And my birthday was actually like a couple days after the actual concert. And he goes, "Oh, it's your birthday?" And I'm like, "Well, it's coming up." And he looks at the tape and goes, "Well, screw this then." He throws it at me. And I'm like, "What the hell, dude? You're not going to like sign something for me?" And he turns around, grabs one of their new album CDs off the wall behind him, opens it up, signs it, says "Happy Birthday" on it, and then hands it back to me. And I'm like, oh crap. So then I go to the next person, I hand it to their bassist, and he signs it and writes "Happy Birthday." And then he hands it to Susie. And at the time, I had a massive crush on Susie Sue. And she looks at it and she goes, "Oh, it's your birthday?" And I'm like, "Well, it's coming up." And she comes around from behind the table, comes over and gives me a big kiss on the cheek. I have photos somewhere at my parents' house, like, big lipstick marks on the side of my cheek. She goes, "What's your name?" And I go, "It's AJ." And she goes, "What's your favorite song?" And I said, "Cities and Dust." And that was like the last I thought of it. But fast forward like 7 months later, and I'm at the concert with my girlfriend at the time. And, we're in the pit, like right up near the stage. And Cities and Dust starts to play. And I'm like, "Hell yeah, I love this song." And Susie Sue points at me and goes, "This song goes out to AJ. Happy birthday, AJ." And then goes into the song. And I just about died. Absolutely died. Next thing I know, every hot chick in the area is like swarming to me, and my girlfriend is mad. So yeah, that was my first concert. I don't know that. I mean, it was definitely one of the best concerts I've ever been to. I think probably my best concert from a music standpoint. I got a chance.
I don't see how I could get any better than that, but please proceed.
Oh no! So from just an overall experience concert, that was the best. But a buddy of mine, actually the guy who was the witness at my wedding, his dad is the sound engineer for U2. And so we got invited to go see U2 at the Sphere. Before the show, we were walking backstage. We bumped into Edge, walked around the corner. I literally bumped into Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine. Got over to they had a friends and family section set up for the show. So we're standing there. Show starts. It sounds amazing. Visually, one of the most incredible things I've ever seen in my life. And the sound was the best I've ever heard in any freaking concert anywhere. And I'm sitting there, and the woman next to me goes, "Isn't this amazing?" And I look over, and it's Hilary Swank. And I'm like, "What in the world is going on?" And I look over, and the woman to the other side of me is Bono's wife. And I'm like, okay, sure. And so, yeah, that was, I think if I had to pick the best concert from a concert standpoint, that was the best. It was insane.
Yeah, you can't go wrong there. That's both those stories are pretty damn awesome. Hilary Swank, shout out. The next Karate Kid.
No, she was amazing.
Yeah, for sure. All right, best MRE and worst MRE.
Oh, Chili Mac by far. Ham. Definitely the ham was the worst by far. Chili Mac's by far the best. Ham by far the worst. Oh. That or the veggie MREs. Those things are, oh God, it's so wrong.
Yeah, I would eat the veggie MREs just because I didn't want anything in the title that says chunked and formed.
Yeah.
I hated that.
Oh. Oh my God. I'm having flashbacks to the freaking ham patty MREs.
So everything that I have here is just another story you're going to tell, but I want to hear you wax poetic about this one. This is the one that gets everybody in a tizzy. Why ask the question? Highly contentious answers that I get sometimes for even asking the question. But in your opinion, who is the greatest of all time? Michael Jackson or Prince?
Oh, damn. I think from an overall music perspective, like truly understanding the layering and production of music, honestly, I think Michael Jackson. But
no, there's no buts.
No. But from a performance standpoint, I don't think anybody can touch Prince. Prince was, I think, the best performer to ever take stage. The only person I can think of that would be in the running from a performance standpoint would be Freddie Mercury.
Oh yeah, I may have to add him into the. I've already got James Brown subliminally put in there. So what's your answer? Is it Prince or Michael Jackson?
Between those two, Prince.
Okay. Yeah, as you can see, it's pretty contentious, but I knew that I could count on you for a pretty complex answer. But yeah, Prince is pulling back away. There for a while, he had like a 10-point lead. It got down to 2 or 3, but all is right with the world as you have picked Prince. Appreciate that.
I mean, Prince's Super Bowl show was just the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. Yeah.
All right.
And that dude could ball. He could play some basketball.
Yeah. I see some people in the green room. It's pretty awesome, AJ. This is going to be fun. I don't know if you can see the people in the green room. I don't think you can.
No, I can't.
So here's the last question for the hot seat, and then we'll get back to we'll start the roast. What is it that our podcast can do to get better?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I think besides getting a better host, I think probably the thing that I think would make the biggest impact would be if you guys found a way to partner with a different nonprofit each week and found a way to drive traffic to that nonprofit, each week. So that way each week you're putting a highlight on a new nonprofit, specifically one dealing with veteran things. I think that would be a great way to both grow the podcast, because you'd be introducing yourselves to folks who are affiliated with those nonprofits, and drive traffic to those nonprofits from your existing audience.
I freaking love that answer. And in real time, in stride, we'll do a combined arm breach on this. Danny Archer from Equine Veteran Project will be our guest on 23 July when we will start partnering with a veteran nonprofit every week. Thanks, AJ. Appreciate that. You've introduced a new segment. Danny, if you're watching, hit me up in the comments. We're going to get you on here 23 July, my birthday. Thanks for that.
Hey, there you go. Happy pre-birthday.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So I think Al had to drop. Looks like he's traveling. So it's just me. So I'm fumbling here. Sorry. That's okay. I can fumble when I get old, though. So, all right. Here's what we're going to do. I see 3 people in the green room so far. 4 people, 5 people. Geez. So I'm going to bring on one person to talk to you first before we start the roast.
Oh God.
If you're there, Sergeant Major, come on camera. Let me see you. Give me a thumbs up. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, Sergeant Major.
Hey.
Bob in the fob in the flesh. It's good to see you, AJ.
It's great to see you. How you doing?
I'm doing great, living the dream, being a happy retiree, and well, I can't say retiree anymore because I went back to work, but just outstanding, and it's good to see that Cobb's got a lot of the old folks in here and everything, and I'm just super proud of everything that you have done over the years. I keep tabs on you, and I love the Formula One pictures you sent me when you're out there at Austin, and my team still ain't doing all that great, but they're getting better.
Yeah, we're looking forward to F1 again this year. It's always a good time. You need to come out for one of the races. Is what you need to do.
Yeah, I need to try to get out there. One of these times, I will hit you up on that and try to do that. It's always been one of those dreams. When I was in Germany, I just never got the chance. I was always deployed.
We've got a guest room with your name on it. So get your butt out here.
Outstanding. That'd be great. But yeah, it's I'm enjoying life. I'm getting to be back with soldiers, so that's always good, and just having a good time.
That's awesome.
Got to see Drew Hernandez a couple weeks back.
Say again?
Oh, did you get to see the show at Fort Campbell?
Yeah, I went to Drew's show and had a blast. I mean, guys, he's hilarious anyway, but in person it was even better.
Yeah, talk about. I mean, when we were there, I don't remember the Jokers Comedy Club being up. How was the venue?
It was great. They've done a really good job in there. It's under new ownership. It had been on the banned list, but when the new ownership took over, it's a veteran that owns it now, veteran couple, and really, really good. They're very, very proactive in keeping the place straight and so that people can enjoy it. And I really had a great time.
Well, you know what they say, clubs around Fort Campbell are kind of like NCOs. No good NCO is a good NCO until they've had their first Article 15. No good club is any good until they've been banned at least once.
Yeah. So they've met that threshold. So now with the new ownership, hopefully it stays off, because I think they've got a good thing going there, and it was a good turnout for Drew. And like I said, he's just a lot funnier in person. Some of the stuff he did, of course he has to bag on the MPs, and I'm kind of like, the guy that was sitting at the table with me looked over at me, and I was like, yeah, I said, I knew this was coming.
That's awesome.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, Drew's a friend of the program, and he's got a project coming out called More Than Paper. Like again, just the type. He was an MP, even though he bags on the MPs, but he was an MP himself. But so Sergeant Major, I appreciate you coming on. I just wanted to talk to you before all the debauchery begins. I appreciate you coming on the show. We are going to turn it back over here to AJ. So I'm going to drop it down, but we're going to start the roast of Bob Maher. I got a little video for you first for you.
I love that.
Welcome to the roast of Bob Maher.
Outstanding. Well, tonight we're here to honor, celebrate, and emotionally damage a man many of us knew as Specialist Bob Maher. Some people knew him as the supply guy. Some knew him as the maintenance guy. Some knew him as the angry old specialist who looked like he'd been personally betrayed by every DA form ever printed. But to me, he was and always will be Bob the Builder. And let me tell you, he hated that nickname, which of course meant it was legally required by Army regulation that we keep calling him that forever. Bob was one of those guys who had a story for everything. Didn't matter what happened. If the company got a new vehicle, Bob somehow was the one who made it possible. If the platoon got ammo, Bob had personally saved the mission. If the sun came up, Bob probably knew the guy who approved the work order. Of According to Bob, the 101st MP Company didn't become the 561st MP Company because of a reflagging or restructuring. No, it happened because Bob allowed it to happen. He was the only specialist I ever talked to who talked like a retired general, complained like a staff sergeant, and somehow still looked offended that anyone expected him to do specialist work. Now, Bob's been through some serious medical stuff, including losing his vocal cords. And I just want to say this sincerely. Bob, we're glad you're still here. Because even without vocal cords, somehow you're still the loudest complainer in the room. So tonight we roast a legend, a survivor, a professional grump, a man who could turn a missing wrench into a 4-part memoir, Bob Maher, supply guy, maintenance guy, storyteller, survivor, and forever, whether he likes it or not, Bob the Builder. You know, Bob was the only guy in the Army who could make "I ordered brake pads" sound like the Battle of Mogadishu. He didn't tell stories. He just gave sworn testimony about events that definitely did not happen that way. You know, every Bob story started with what really happened was, and ended with everyone quietly wondering if Bob had been in the same army as the rest of us. Bob hated being called Bob the Builder, which of course you knew is how you knew it was the perfect nickname. In the Army, if a nickname bothers you, it's permanent. So congratulations. You know, we called him Bob the Builder because every time something broke, Bob would say, "Can we fix it?" And then immediately explain why it was somebody else's fault that it was broken in the first place. You know, just remember, Bob wasn't always old. He was just Army issued in black and white. Bob had the resting bitch face of a man who'd been told that the motor pool was open on a Saturday. He was constantly angry, like, "This clipboard has personally betrayed me." Angry. Then he'd yell at the clipboard for making him angry. He could complain about anything. If you gave him a free steak dinner, Bob would ask why the cow didn't coordinate with supply first. Bob had that special supply guy power where he could look you dead in the eye and say, "We don't have it," while standing directly in front of the thing you asked for. You know, every unit has that one guy who claims he's the reason the place runs. Well, Bob was that guy, except that he genuinely believed the Army would collapse if he took a long lunch, which is probably why he's so skinny, because he was afraid to take lunches. According to Bob, every mission had 3 phases: planning, execution, and Bob explaining how it would have failed without him. Bob once told a story where he saved the entire company with a clipboard, a crescent wrench, and what I assume was untreated high blood pressure. You know, he spent his entire career acting like everyone depended on him, which was ridiculous because most of the time we just were depending on him to unlock the cage or get us some asbestos tiles for the floors. You know, he had the attitude of a command sergeant major in the rank of "Please take out the trash." Bob didn't need stripes. He had pure irritation and caffeine. His leadership style was simple: glare first, answer questions never. He was the kind of guy who made you feel like you'd already done something wrong before you even walked into the room. You know, when Bob got sick and had his vocal cords removed, we thought, well, at least he'll complain less. And somehow, medically, scientifically, spiritually, we were all wrong. Bob lost his vocal cords and still managed to sound annoyed through sheer force of personality. Most people need vocal cords to yell. Bob just weaponized facial expressions. He can now tell you you're an idiot without saying a word. Honestly, it's probably the most efficient he's ever been. Bob without vocal cords is still louder than half the people I served with. That's not a medical fact, but it is an emotional truth. Bob's doctors removed his vocal cords and probably thought, mission accomplished. They clearly underestimated decades of Army bitterness. The man has survived being sick, the Army, the motor pool, supply inventories, and being called Bob the Builder by people who knew exactly how much he hated it. That's not luck. That's spite. Bob is proof that anger, sarcasm, and cheap Army coffee can preserve a man indefinitely. Bob's superpower is surviving everything just so he can tell you how you did it wrong. But seriously, Bob, all jokes aside, we're glad you're still here. You're angry, loud, impossible, full of stories, and absolutely unforgettable. Every unit has characters, but few become legends. You were one of ours. No matter what rank you wore, what job you had, or how completely ridiculous the stories you told were, you were part of the family. And so tonight, we raise a glass to Bob Maher, Bob the Builder, the man, the myth, the maintenance request. Can we fix him? Absolutely not. But sickness couldn't either, so fuck it.
Well, I think it is officially on. So without further ado, I want to bring on the man himself, the character known on the show, on the Triple Threat Vet podcast, where he puts out more fake intel than TikTok itself. Ladies and gentlemen, C.I.A. Bob and his interpreter for the night, Cato.
Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, C.I.A. Bob.
Outstanding. Good to see you, Bob.
Are you
Good to see
crying?
I'm going to start off with Merrifield. Man, I absolutely love it. What you've been doing over the years. I mean, it's been awesome.
Yeah, you got to turn off where you were watching us.
Turn that speaker down.
There you go. Perfect.
The Warrior Companion was fucking awesome. I love that. And yes, I did watch that on when you did the mandatory fun day, dude. That was excellent. But hey, my list tonight is for this guy here. So let's roast him. Let's have fun.
Well, I just want to get reaction there at first. So what'd you think about getting roasted, Bob?
I just want to get reaction at first. So what'd you think about getting roasted, Bob?
We got a delay there, Choke.
Oh, he's typing because you can't talk.
Can't type either, so this should take a while.
He needs that in his mouth.
Let's see.
See, he's got to put something in his mouth.
I deserve it. It looks like your son's on here. Hey, Dad, I'm here watching. Hey, Choke, do me a favor and try to use just the computer speaker. The speaker's interfering back. I'm going to mute for a second. And I'm going to bring on some more people to roast your C.I.A. Bob. We'll bring him right back. Hey, I want to bring back the first roaster, Rich Woodring, just to be on the stage, and I want to introduce First Sergeant retired, James Massey. Are you there, James?
There he is.
Saying good evening. Robert Patrick Maher. Man, hold on. AJ Merrifield, man, you had me in tears and stitches. Boy, let me tell you something. That right there, man, you need a road show for real. Dave Chappelle, I ain't got on, bruh. Kevin Hart, I ain't got, man, you got great content. Bob, hey, man, we love you. That's why we're here. That's why we do it. I put it in the comments earlier, like, Bob's doing all that typing. What did he think? He probably going to salute everybody with 2 middle fingers.
I figured he was going to reply to all of us with 2 fingers, either this way or with typing, because we all know he just types with 1 finger at a time anyway.
So Major Rich Woodring, good to see you, boss. Happy New Year to everybody. Blessings to you all. Appreciate what y'all do. Hey, Cobb again, like the last time. This is great. I think we're missing one guy, right?
Oh yeah. I got one more guy. So this is somebody that I'm sure wants to say some decently mean things about Bob. Let's not get crazy. Supply Sergeant, one of Chope's soldiers, Jeremy Tisdale.
What's going on, everybody? What's up? So he's the supply guy, huh? Is that what he tells everybody? Oh, I didn't see him there when Mama Bill was there, teaching me, and then Chope comes along and, hey, you can leave on Friday when I'm scrubbing the hand receipt going, is this dude crazy? We don't leave until the job's done, period. But hey, thanks for letting me out there early. Bob Maher, let's see. I got back in because my full bird colonel who works in the Pentagon got me back in. That's kind of strange. Never seen a broke guy get into the Army before, especially with one good leg. So,
all right.
Hey, y'all take it easy, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you coming on.
Good to see you, Tisdale.
Jesus Christ. I didn't realize it was going to get that serious. Come on, man. It's a roast. It's not a fucking massacre. Be grown up. We're all adults here.
I'm not. I'm a child. I admit it.
Yeah. Let me bring Cato back on and see what they got going on here. Can you hear us?
I'm not. I'm a child. I admit it.
Let me bring
I think he's still typing.
Hey, Bob's trying to finger fuck the keyboard here, okay? You know, he can only do one finger at a time.
Called it.
We still got the delay, so I don't know if you can hear me now, Cato. Well, that sucks. I don't know if you can hear me now.
Yeah, I can hear you.
We got like a 15, 20 second delay though.
Yeah,
Hey, I really appreciate you coming on, Sergeant Major. I'm gonna drop you down, okay? All right. Cato, you there? Can't really do any roasting if you can't talk to him.
Yeah.
I
we can roast him. He just can't roast back.
Yeah, that's the truth. I wanted him to be able to hear some of these. I mean, that was cool as hell. We'll come back to them in just a second. That was cool as hell. Did you write that or?
Yeah.
Or, Jesus Christ, dude.
Awesome,
I did some little lame chat GPT. So I'll read some of these while we're waiting for Cato to, I don't know, maybe try to go directly from your computer because I got too much of a delay. We can't communicate. But apropos, I guess. Bob Maher knows every tactic in the military except for how to shut the fuck up. C.I.A. Bob, expert at knowing it all and achieving nothing. Bob's war stories are classified as complete bullshit. Let's see. On Triple Threat Vet, Bob Maher fights harder for airtime than he did for his country. That's not true. God, Lord, I'm not good at roasting. I spread so much love. I always tell Bob whenever he gets in one of his fucking moods, I'm like, dude, I got enough love for all of us. So it's really hard for me to sound this mean, even though, you know. But I'm going to read a couple more just because, God dang it, it's a roast. Bob knows every SEAL operation, mostly from playing Call of Duty. C.I.A. Bob, he's the master of trust me, bro, intelligence. That's a good one. Let's see. C.I.A. Bob's clearance level cleared top secret STFU, please. Yeah.
So you need the sound effect.
Yeah. If you know, it seems like you're starting to bleed in and out. I know I'm having issues and I'm hosting, so I apologize for the train wreck after your amazing roast. But bro, that shit's hilarious. Let's check back in with Cato here one time, and before we get out of here, we'll see if we can get Cato and C.I.A. Bob. Are you guys there?
Yeah, we're here. I mean, can you hear us?
Yep. Nope. We got no more delay now.
Okay,
so in real time, like Bob, if you don't mind talking to us a little bit. What did you think about getting roasted tonight? And talk about, you can put it in the message for this part, but just talk about what you thought about being roasted tonight.
Nothing but a day. It's just like so bullshit we dealt with every day is the one I wanna be happening.
Yeah, I just remember getting in trucks. I was the camo guy that the MPs would let come on missions with them, getting in trucks, and you would just learn everything about everyone's life because everyone just had to learn how to push each other's buttons.
Oh,
and
yeah.
for a lot of years, Bob used to push my buttons, but, we talked.
Bob pushed everybody's buttons. That's what.
Yeah, very true.
Which is ironic that he's such a bad typer because he's so good at pushing people's buttons.
Yeah, for sure.
If I didn't push your buttons, I didn't give a fuck about you.
Man, I tell you though, I mean, all you guys, I loved you all to death. We went through some horrible times together, and we came out on the other end, and I'm here to talk. I'm here to listen. But absolutely, I love our brotherhood, and
it really was the best group of guys ever. It really was.
We love them.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I've known Bob since the end of 2002, whenever I got to 101. And like there's been some outlandish things that have come out of his mouth, just when he gets in his moods. But Bob, like, we're all here for you. We're a band of brothers, and I'm glad you're still here, even though you're grumpy as fuck. But like, I hope you appreciate. I hope you appreciate this, what we're doing.
And trust me, if you think the stuff coming out of his mouth is outlandish, you should have seen some of the stuff that goes into his mouth. That's. We love you, Bob. We love you
all the time.
Hey man, make sure you're breathing. Make sure you stay breathing. Take a knee and face out and pull security, buddy.
What killed Bob? It wasn't the cancer. It was the roast.
The roast.
Merrifield, that was fucking awesome, though. I mean, it was spot on. I loved it. I was rolling here.
Hey man, I hope you enjoyed this, Bob. We enjoyed doing it for you. Wipe the tears away. Little baby boy, look at him. Big old tough motherfucker, and now he's crying.
Oh yeah, now he's finger fucking the keyboard.
Okay, let me get back on here. Send it, Bob. Change your socks. Here we go. Wonder what my son thinks. Yeah, I did see that he was watching earlier. Is this him? No.
Oh,
but I saw a Junior on here and said, "Hey, Dad, I'm watching." So that's awesome that he was watching. Appreciate that. And then just all the people in the comments, be sure you share this with all the people that you know in 7/16 that came across Bob Maher, because this dude's still here. He's still grumping it up every day. But if you're in a Facebook chat with him, he says some funny ass shit. And I've been calling him C.I.A. Bob since about 2009. And he just knows everything, and he keeps in touch with everybody. This dude loved the 101st MP Company. So that's my original shirt that we had. I got one question for you, AJ.
Oh shit!
Do you have
Yeah, I've got it. It's in a box underneath a bunch of other stuff right now.
I only got mine out because I thought with all these 101st people, I thought they were going
Son of a bitch.
I thought they were going to come.
I guess I'm pushing after we get off this call.
I was just using it to defend myself.
Over in the house in a damn plaque.
Damn it. Yeah, I guess I'm pushing after this call.
All right.
I will never. One of my favorite memories, I will never forget it, was we'd just gotten a new lieutenant, and she was so mad because she'd gotten dropped like 4 different times because she didn't have her coin yet, and she was walking down the road, and somebody, I think it may have been Cribben, chucked his coin from like 200 yards away, just flung that thing as hard as he could, and it landed like maybe 5 feet from her. Actually, yeah, it was Cribben, because I remember he booked it. I've never seen him, and that dude was fast, but I've never seen him run as fast as he did that day to get down there and grab his coin before she could finish her Fort of the Wind and stand up. Because, he was just booking it as hard as he could to get down there and grab that aerosol coin. She was so mad. She went into the commander's office, huffing and puffing, just frothing at the mouth.
That was a daily thing when you came in the morning. You go into the day room before the morning bub.
Oh, yeah.
And, you fucking slam that coin down on the table. You catch it on the way in.
Yep.
Everybody hanging out in the day room, pushing.
Yep. Oh yeah. I remember. I mean, and the thing is, it's like for all the people that complained about it, it worked. So I remember, like, I would have sawed off my own leg if that's what I needed to do to get to air assault school, because I was like, I am done with doing push-ups every 20 minutes because some idiot just dropped a coin.
Yeah, a lot of times when we go back and start talking about these stories, I realize how much of a ego-driven dude I was when I was 20. But like I was that guy that had the coin, I guess, that is weird shapes. It's basically.
Oh yeah, mine looks like a taco from all the times that I pinged that thing as hard as I could.
Yeah, sorry for all the people. I was an asshole back in the day. I was a hard charger, so sorry about that.
No, dude, honestly, that's what made that unit so great. That's
no doubt. Shout out to Rich Woodwing. I'm wearing his shirt.
That's badass. I like that shirt.
Battle Staff inspired, baby.
Oh, that's cool as hell. I'm gonna have to get one of those.
Right. Oh yeah, you can get it. It's funny you say that. You can get it at battlescarapparel.com, a veteran-owned business. Yeah.
There we go.
Put the link in there.
Hell yeah.
But before we get out of here, AJ, I want to thank you for your story. I want to thank you for the roast of Bob Maher. And Bob, you got anything you want to say before we get out of here? I know you are going to write some shout outs, but
he's second.
Let me check.
You have to speak up, Bob, so just use all caps.
Still feel bad. He was so respectful. To me? I was respectful? Shake your head. Oh, yeah, and I want to give a shout out to Lee Cooley, who's watching over on TikTok, and Chris Reed. I see you guys in the comments. Like,
Cooley, what's up, dude?
Okay.
Let's see who else is on there. Chris Reed, Lee Cooley. Anytime we have 101st people on here, people come out of the woodwork. I appreciate the Triple Threat Vet Platoon showing up and showing out. And roasting C.I.A. Bob, we refer to him. He's basically a character on the show. Look at me, Bob. Look at me when I'm roasting you. Hey, look at the camera, you. Look at the camera, God. Man. Hey, love you, Bob. I hope this was good for you. All right, man. Ladies and gentlemen, Cato and C.I.A. Bob Maher. Hey, I appreciate you doing that. That's he's constantly followed the show. He appreciate it. Thanks, big bro. You got anything you want to say before you hop out? Okay. Thanks for coming, bro. Very much. But we mess with Bob. We say we roast the people we love. We're battle scarred together.
Yeah.
As like I said, he said some silly shit, and I don't even think he remembers that I got out as a sergeant first class, and I went on to a bunch of different deployments after him. But he still remembers me as that very young. I think I was 22-year-old PFC and specialist. He still treats me like I was one of his soldiers in the barracks when he was the grandpa of the barracks. So appreciate you, Bob. I don't agree with everything you say, but that's what we're talking about, the band of brothers. Because if it wasn't for that, I'd have dropped you a long ass time ago. But AJ, before we get out of here, where can people find you if they want to find you online, and give some shout outs if you'd like?
Still got a Facebook group. Honestly, I'm not as active on there as I probably should be, but Bob and Fob Comics on Facebook. Highly recommend checking out Songwriting with Soldiers, songwritingwithsoldiers.org. That's then I'm actually the co-founder of a financial education firm called The Perfect Portfolio. So check out theperfectportfolio.com. And thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, theperfectportfolio.com. I will find that and put that in the comments after the show. Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on. It's always fun to have MPs. I drive the fucking Navy guys crazy, but it's always fun to have MPs on because it reminds me of my service, and that's kind of why we do this, to stay in touch with everybody. Every week I get to come in here and have like a therapy session, talk the old talk, and then go back and be a grandfather. So, Bob, for all the things that you make us react to on your social media, we appreciate you very much. I've had a relationship with you for 20 years, and I've only blocked you like 3 times on my phone. So I know that's a record for some of you. I love you. Hope you enjoyed this, and we'll talk to you soon. AJ, appreciate you very much.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man. I'll catch you later.
Yeah, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, AJ Merrifield. Well, that was a pretty interesting roast. You know, I can't say that I'm good at roasting because I like seeing the positive, but good Lord, AJ Merrifield absolutely brought it. It's going to be a lot of fun next week, too. We got a guest coming up, Larry Brandt, with the United States Navy Chaplain Corps. He, of course, was a Marine. He's going to come on and relate some of the stories that he went through. Man, it's good as hell to see this. I love this. Always good conversations with the chaplains. And then for Al Hero, Matt Johnson, and myself, we appreciate you watching. That's why it sucks because normally they're doing this and I'm preparing. I've never had to produce and talk alone. Appreciate y'all watching. All the 101st people over there on TikTok. Be sure that you like, subscribe, follow, and share because we want people to come in and check us out with the Triple Threat Bet Platoon. Thank y'all for watching on Facebook. Sorry, LinkedIn, for the language. And TikTok. Sorry, we said some bad things there at the beginning. Love you guys. See you next week. Next formation, next Thursday, 7 p.m. Central.
If you or someone you know is in crisis, contact the Veterans Crisis Line at 1-800-273-8255. Then press 1.